So I'm going to call the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, August 26th to order. And first item is approval of the agenda.
I move.
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Yeah,
Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There she is. I was looking for you, Isabel. Thank you. Next is approval of the consent agenda.
I move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any comments on the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to pull the resolution off for discussion.
Okay.
I understand some people here would probably like to say something about it.
I see there's a good turnout, so we'll put that, we've got, put that at 9 then.
Can I?
When do you want to put it?
It's gonna go to the back, it's gonna go to 9.
We can't hear you.
It's gonna go to 9 off the agenda, off the consent agenda. So,
Isn't it warned at 7:35?
it was on the consent agenda, but there is a select board member that has asked to pull it off so that we could discuss it.
Yeah, I thought the warning I received last week said that it was scheduled for 7:35 at your meeting.
And that's been changed. And Brian's not talking 9 o'clock. He's talking item number 9.
I know.
Right.
Okay. And that looks like it should be around 8 o'clock.
Why was that change not published publicly?
It was.
We had put it on the consent agenda. I changed it last week and put it on the consent agenda.
Well, the one that was sent out in the weekly notice of your agenda had it at 7:35.
Okay.
Can I make a quick comment on that?
Why?
Let's get them to talk, if they want to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all of us are sitting here. Why
I know,
not do it earlier?
we have town employees that, I'll squeeze you in earlier, but we have town employees that are here to present town issues that need to be priority. So, I'm gonna move on, and, we're gonna cover, this is already becoming a, contentious issue, this is. Anything else on the consent agenda?
I just had a comment on the resolution. Your intent, I'm questioning the intent of bringing it out because we know
Louder,
both.
we can't hear you.
Okay, we know both sides of the position now. You had all your comments, and for the people who are against and for the people who are for the agenda, we know all the arguments. And just wondering why we are bringing it out. Are we going to talk about the same thing over
We
and
are.
over again?
The consent agenda is for items that are not controversial, which are approved unanimously by the board. It's administrative actions that need to be done. It is not a place where there is any discord within the board or public.
I agree with you, but what we are going to talk about is you're going to put your case.
No, I'm going to
forward,
listen
and
to
they
the
are going to
many
say the
people
same
that are
things
here.
They've been saying.
Yep.
So as a select board, we are just going to talk about this for a while, or I just don't get that.
I think it's important for the select board to talk about it. So to pull it out, we'll talk. And then we can get comments.
Yeah, the whole select board knows exactly the position of.
I've got some other ideas.
That's what we should talk about.
Anything else?
Sure.
Any other comments on the consent agenda?
I think it's unfortunate this is going the same procedural way as the Medicaid one did. It's going to be a disservice to people to handle it in this way, and it's really kind of contrary to the instructions given to applicants who want to submit an issue. And the way it was warned, as was mentioned originally on Friday, it came out actually after the packet that David sent us as a separate item. And it just is, by pushing it off like that, the amount of time it is a disservice to the vast majority of people. So I'm as uncomfortable with this procedurally as I was with the Medicaid, which ended up taking 3 meetings, you know. And if the whole idea behind putting it here was to save time in the meeting and so forth, the procedure of, well, putting it way further into the agenda and making people wait, and then changing things about it.
If we could get going forward, we'd be to it by 7:30 at the latest, so.
All right, go ahead and call for the vote.
Yeah, can speakers use mic?
We don't have miking.
And you need to speak louder, please. We can't hear.
Okay, anything else on the consent agenda? All in favor of approving the consent agenda with the one item pulled out for discussion later, signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Fred's opposed. Anybody else opposed? Okay, citizen comments for something that is not on the agenda. Okay, Emily, please.
You want to just come up with this?
Yeah,
Just do all public votes.
let's knock it out.
I'm pretty easy tonight. I only have a few project updates. We only have a few project updates for capital projects. Halliday Road is starting with rehabilitation. The reclaimer unfortunately broke down this morning, so it might be delayed a couple of days. But I think the schedule tracks that they'll be completing from Middle Road to Route 7 by the end of September. And then they're trying to do the shim and overlay on the southern end after that effort is completed. The reclaim section of it is more important to get done in this cycle, if there are any seasonal limitations. Middle Road North is in decent shape. We're waiting on L&D to come back to finish the line striping. The town painted the green crosswalk in front of the school to at least demarcate it a little bit better. And then L&D will come and do the white line for that crosswalk and also the other 2 crosswalks. I met with the school on Monday. We did decide to do the flashing beacon there, so that's ordered. Coming in middle of September, I believe. So that will move forward for the school crossing. Town paving, it's the same paver who's doing Halliday Road. So we are just juggling things around to make sure we hit all of the most important projects for this season. Water tank, we had our pre-construction meeting last week. So they'll be mobilizing in mid-September to start doing site work this fall in prep for the tank next spring. And then the 2 other major projects, the well redundancy project, the hydrogeologist has determined a handful of locations with good potential for a well, sort of in that same corridor as the existing infrastructure. So we just need to meet with a well driller to sort of assess the different options and the different possibilities and figure out which is the best approach for the town. And we have a preliminary water line redundancy design to get flow up to the Exchange Street corridor to bypass Exchange Street, essentially, should we need to. And so we just have to work through getting easements from some property owners there to go in. I want to do some soil borings to make sure we're not dealing with hot soils in there and just figure out what we have back there before we determine what type of pipe to use.
What's a hot soil?
Some of our soils in town are known to be corrosive to the ductile
gotcha.
iron.
Acidic or
So just want to spend a little time in front of the project
Good.
investigating.
Is this like in place of the loop that we had talked about? This was the idea you had brought up?
It's a different loop. It would sort of run more parallel to the rail tracks.
Yes.
And so it would hook into Pond Lane and be able to
Backfeed.
it. I would still like to look at doing the loop, but this would provide some redundancy.
Yeah. So we'd have to put some valving in there?
Yeah, yep. But I think it's a good alternative
Yeah.
for the interim. It doesn't check all the boxes, but I think it would help. And then Mary Hogan Stormwater, the 2 bioretention treatment practices are going to be under construction in the coming weeks. We're waiting for summer camps in the pool to shut down for the season before we started that effort. And the work in the Middlebury River started today, or yesterday, so they started building the access road in up to the flood wall. They're going to start with getting that roadway in so that they can repair the sheets on the wall, and then they'll, like, once the concrete company is working on the wall, the prime will drop back and work on the slope stabilization further downstream.
When do they expect to be done, that work?
That one has to be complete by October 1st
Okay.
for permitting. So it'll be quick.
They're not bothered by much water.
They
right
have
now.
lucked out so far, yeah. Who knows if it'll change, but it's
Yeah.
pretty ideal right now.
Good time to be
Ideal for
working
the
there.
construction.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they'll come pull that log out of the sluice gate too.
A lot of fun finds down
Yeah.
there.
I think that's it for my stuff.
Okay.
Can
Questions of Emily?
I think this would be more for David.
Okay.
Question I have.
We'll move over to David.
We're talking sidewalk plow, right?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So DPW, we came across when it came to infrastructure early in the spring last year, actually in the winter. Many people have noticed we struggled with sidewalks last year. We struggled with the equipment that we had. So the highway division spent a lot of time and effort investigating what was out there. And there's a variety of things out there. Middlebury is not unique, but has unique requirements on the sizing of those machinery to fit down all of our sidewalks. So our secondary machine, which was a Bobcat, fantastic machine for what we do with it generally, but it doesn't fit in some of the areas downtown and across the bridges that primary sidewalk machine goes down. We end up falling behind on the other side. So we wanted a secondary machine, or this will become a primary machine that could do the entire town no matter what area. So the idea is to have 2 machines that can do everything, one being newer than the other, and the second, if the older one that we have now, the trackless, breaks down, we're not kind of stopped in our tracks and trying to pick up the pieces 12, 18, 24 hours later when people have walked on it and things have turned to ice and come to a hazardous condition. So we looked at 3 or 4 different brands, specs. We spent some time going across the state. We visited our friends up in Enosburg that had a machine in Advent, which is what the highway department ended up wanting to move forward with. Enosburg's had theirs for a good season now. They get a lot of snow up there in that area, and they've had really good luck with that machine, and they've had really great luck with the dealer that supplies that machine. We have a trackless currently. We've had a tractor before. And then we met with Milton while we were up there looking at their town garage and their equipment. They have a couple different variables of a sidewalk machine as well, and gave us the pros and cons of those. So at the end of the day, highway group got to drive this thing. We got to meet with people that were using it, and hence the sole source request of, we could put this out to bid. We don't know what we'd get. We've kind of put our hands on this thing. We've spent a lot of time looking at them, and this is what we'd love to move forward with. Our clock is down a little bit at this point. The vendor assures us we can have it before snow flies, but that's the request to move forward with that piece of sidewalk machinery. Likewise, the trackless we found rusting out and not working as well every year is that we don't use it through the summertime. It sits, and it's the worst thing for these pieces of machinery to sit for 6 or 8 months in the middle of the summer. We're not using them. So this is more of a mini loader type. There's some attachments that we're requesting, like fence post mowers that we can do guardrails with and use this thing all 12 months of the year, in theory, is the hope of this piece of machinery.
It's unfortunate the minutes of the Public Works Committee, Infrastructure Committee that got into this issue in more detail were not included in the packet. But I'll just summarize. The committee voted unanimously to support the recommendation for the purchase. They did ask about this in some more detail. Prior sidewalk machines we've had, like the Holder and so forth, come to find out it couldn't be serviced anywhere this side of Maine. And this was from machines from Finland. And anyway, we were assured that it could be serviced closer to home. We asked about the warranty, and Matt Cram was unsure about it, but he remembered it was decent. I don't know if you have any more information about that.
I had to run out, so a bunch of cars crashed on Main Street in Virgins that day, so I missed that. But Emily is pointing to that question here, Fred, and it was 2 years and 1,000 hours on the machine, and 1 year's on the attachment, which pretty typical for machining, kind of all okay. It's an extended, usually we see a year on some of that stuff. They are getting better on their warranties, but I'd say that's pretty typical of what we see. And as you guys, we've talked about before, and every time I talk about machinery, we're going to be a years group as opposed to an hours generally. We're not burning the hours on these things. We're usually having them further along, and we really like to see that years be a little further out.
I think Matt did talk to Pete's Equipment today. They have the machine in stock, and with the attachments to do the build out, it's a 2 to 4 week lead time, but everything would be ready within the 4 weeks.
Would it need to go to Morrisville for service? Or?
Probably, yep. Well, we couldn't do in-house. Eric does a lot of that normal maintenance stuff. They also have road tech, so they could come here. Obviously, that costs you some more money. But yeah, Morrisville Pete's will be the dealer for that.
Yeah, at least while it's under warranty.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Any other questions? I just want to make a comment. It's a big sole source purchase. It's too bad that we're having to do this way. I don't agree with the process. I checked out the machine. It's pretty slick. It's going to give you one operator ability to do a lot of stuff with a little bit bigger machine. And Pete's is definitely a reputable local Vermont dealer. So I like that part about it, and I'm going to vote for it. I just wish we weren't making this large of a purchase and a sole source purchase.
Understood.
Okay, I move to approve the sole source purchase of the Avant 760 GT from Pete's Equipment Sales and Rentals for $133,415.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Anything else from?
I have a question.
Yes.
How are we doing with our wells?
Wells have been stable and steady, so we've not seen a change there. We're watching it regularly, 3 days a week. They're checking it. We don't have a regular. Currently, we don't have a way to just look at a meter. We have ordered something that was a couple $100 to be able to put on because we never really had to pay attention that closely. But they are checking it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now and logging that. But we have not seen a slip in that water level. Again, that could change very quickly, right? We haven't really seen any rain, and I don't know what that trigger event is in the dryness of this many days to the point that we do see that. But at this point, we don't see indications that we're trending downward on our water supply.
We do have a couple thousand kids coming to town in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Certainly changes our water usage. On North Street,
Yes.
we heard from the citizen there who was concerned about traffic driving through there. Is there a way that we can move that sign to increase the visibility of it?
I think, talking with Mark in the manager's office, we continue to get these requests from all angles on all sorts of different things. And I think the hope was, and I think it's on the agenda here, is to discuss more of a uniform policy on how we get there and how we make those decisions as opposed to making one-off decisions here. And not to say we're not making good decisions, but we were getting them. I get them all the time from all sorts of angles, from the yays and the nays, and we certainly saw it with the speed bumps. And this is no different in the enforcement side and I'm not going to speak on Jason's half of, we can move signs whether or not those do things. So, and I don't know if Mark's got anything else to add to that.
It was part of the consent agenda tonight. Our ask of the board was to send a draft policy that was created by staff to public health and safety so that we have a process to work with when we do receive complaints in the future.
So I think at this point we just kind of paused until we tried to get that in place.
That one piece of the visibility of the sign from High Street seemed like a simple and reasonable ask outside of a townwide policy over how we address traffic calming and road safety. anyway, if you'd prefer to handle it on a broader scale, that's fine.
I'm sure you all saw, some of you saw on the news, that was covered on Channel 5.
Interesting.
They had a short this morning and at noon,
Huh.
just North Street.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Moving a sign is not really a traffic calming issue. It's a visibility issue. There's the other information that's on the sign as well. This question was, can you move a sign?
We can move whatever you guys would like us to move, and so that's why we had some conversation with the manager's office and tried to wait until we got some more concrete direction universally across, because that sign today, this specific sign doesn't have as many implications, but somebody else could come tomorrow and ask for a different sign that certainly has more implications, and then we're gonna go, well, you guys got to move that one, and we'll have to talk about all the, well, this is just a little different than that, and ideally we'd get to a place where we've got a really hard and fast ceiling and floor most of the time for those decisions. But like I told you guys last time we talked about speed bumps, we will do whatever the wishes of this group sits here. You can tell me to move that sign, and I'm sure the boys will move it tomorrow.
and that sign was featured in the.
Was it?
Did it look good?
And there was another little sign there that we had talked about, their own roadside.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
You know, not every good suggestion from a citizen needs to go through a whole
Yeah.
policy created that really is creating a lot of bureaucracy around you handle procedural requests. Bruce Baker was at the same meeting, suggested that at the time that Bakery Lane is done, that there be a marked way for pedestrians, just like we marked other pedestrian ways. And there seemed to be consensus, at least in the minutes you approved for the board, that that was a good idea.
Yep.
And I don't know that everything needs to go through this kind of draft bureaucracy, really. Lots of good ideas come up from that can be handled much more efficiently, and so I'll have some issues about certainly the policy draft. But if you take Bruce Baker's suggestion and try to run it through this policy and what had to happen, it's horrendous. That procedure you would put that idea through. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think the intent is that everybody's got a different viewpoint and trying to get to a baseline of understanding of what triggers these sorts of things. And that one seems very simple and probably is, and it should slide through those processes, and we shouldn't make them any more difficult. But some of them certainly have implications that we know cause disruption on both sides. And until we start playing through, this is how we do it every time, we're kind of opening ourselves up for that feedback from the people that have to use those areas every day that we may not be aware of.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. I appreciate the perspective.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you very much. We have Judith, Dana, and Chris.
Hi everyone.
Hey, Dana.
Chris is unfortunately testing positive for COVID, so he's
Oh,
going to
dear.
be zooming in. Even as we speak, I bet he's joining us. And he's going to start off giving an update on the budget and construction progress, and then I can talk briefly about the funding status. Hey, Chris.
Hey Dana, good evening everyone. Sorry, I would have really enjoyed being in person this evening, but as Dana mentioned, there's an upswing in COVID going around, so it was my lucky day. Anyways, as it's been a little bit of time since we have seen you all, we thought it would be an appropriate milestone as things are really coming out of the ground. I will say that the riskiest time of any construction project is, especially one that's sort of in an urban environment such as the library, is getting out of the ground. That's the time when you're discovering things and finding out where utilities are exactly located, what changes and alterations you have to make along the way, such as the massive concrete blob that we found at the front of the existing library stairs. It took us a significant amount of time to demolish it and be in a position to move forward. You see what we have now is the new stairs are formed, the curved seat wall is formed, and we've got that whole area at the front of the building on the Main Street side backfilled and in a tidy manner. Now, upcoming activities on site. You'll see the next week we're anticipating the first slab on grade concrete pour. It'll be placed adjacent to the theater. So, and followed shortly thereafter, so mid-September, you're gonna really start to see things change with steel starting to go vertical. Approximately a month after that, the cross-laminated timber, the CLT deck will also fly, so you really start to see some exciting changes over the course of the next month and a half or two. And as I say, and as Dana mentioned, we have, as you see on the updated total project budget that was in your packet, is a fairly standard way that we have managed the overall budget to the total project budget line on the bottom. And you see that we've incurred one change order to date at the sort of middle light blue section of $154,483. The backup for that, which is articulated in a number of different items. Now, I'd like to point your attention to essentially the bottom of the page where we did a sort of a formatting to make the math simple. What we're really focused on as we move forward and identify changes and opportunities to save money and so on is we're locating and really focused on the owner's contingency, that $432,000. Now, it would seem as though that's an ample, amount of money based on where we are. However, as we articulate a little bit further down, there's a roughly $300,000 in projected additional cost construction expenses. More than half of that is one single item, which is the slate roof replacement. And that's replacing the roof and all the copper flashing and all the various appurtenances in its entirety. So we've been working on this one item for quite a long time now, and we're in the process of kind of wrapping up that as a next step. So with that puts us in a position at this point of having about $132,600 remaining contingency for the rest of the project. There is also, I will say, in that $300,000 of additional construction expense, we have a placeholder right now for masonry repairs of $75,000. We don't have any pricing on it yet, so it is truly a placeholder. It's $75,000 is a pretty significant portion of that 300. We're getting pricing as we speak, and this is to repair the original 1924 marble that has been damaged through the various additions that occurred over time. And those were revealed as we sort of peeled away the additions. So I'll pause there and see if Dana wanted to add anything to that, or if there are any questions, Brian?
I have a question. Dan has a question here.
Do you have the CLTs here in country?
The CLTs, Dan, are not yet in country, but they are projected to land in that mid-October timeframe.
So how will they be impacted by tariffs?
We anticipate no impacts by tariffs.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just ask, what is a CLT?
Cross-laminated timber. It's essentially making a floor and roof structure by cross-laminating pieces of wood. So it's almost like a giant piece of plywood that will be the finished ceiling in much of the various spaces of the library.
How about, there's a lot of other wood that's going to go in this as Canadian wood. Do we have that? Or is that going to be impacted?
Yeah, Dan, we haven't seen any impacts at this moment from tariffs. I'm going to knock on wood at the moment.
All the wood's Canadian. Okay, yeah. Knock on wood, yes.
Yeah.
We can knock on that wood.
Yeah. Essentially there have been some interesting workarounds. As we mentioned, steel, we ultimately got a steel American-based, domestically based fabricator and erector, so that goes by without any impact. But yeah, no, that has not been a concern at the moment. We're monitoring some of the equipment down the line that may be sourced out of the country that we're taking a close look at. But that's a little bit further down the line, mechanical equipment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I just want to mention really quickly, in terms of the schedule, we have been delayed 13 days coming out of the ground with all the variety of things that we discovered. It is also a very, very tight site, which is all what we expected, frankly. But what it means is that it's very difficult to make up time with a site that's so tight. We can't flood it with more people because we end up creating potentially an unsafe situation. And so we're at that point now where critical is steel going up, concrete slab being placed and steel going up. Now we're advancing some things, such as we're working in the existing library, working on the electric room that is proceeding ahead of schedule. So we try to continue to look for those opportunities to advance and get ahead in some areas where others lag behind.
Will that prefabrication of the wood walls, which is going to take place when the steel going up, is that going to save you any days?
That's already been figured into the calculus, Dan, so yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Chris, Isabel has a question.
Thanks, Brian. Chris, can you just speak a little bit more about the roof and the state of that roof that you were talking about, you discovered?
Yeah, absolutely, Isabel. It's a great question. Ultimately, like other aspects of the project, we went, I'll say above and beyond, if you will, to create a very watertight basement. We talked about through the course of several, select board meetings and so on. We're creating the 100-year approach. And when we studied more carefully, when we actually started construction and started to demolish the additions and got up on top of the building lifts and so on, we could have patched, we could possibly be patching that roof, but what we found is that some of the slates, when you really start to even touch them, they're very brittle. And some of the flashings in other areas were showing their age, ultimately. It just seems a very prudent measure to take this. And we did, take this approach. We did look at several slates, subcontractors. This is not something that is really commonly done. Slate roofs are becoming more and more rare. But we have confidence that this would be absolutely a 100-year roof. Does that answer your question as well?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Izzy, I'll just add that the 1924 building did have multiple areas that would consistently leak from that historic roof. And so, as Chris said, the hope was that as part of this project, we would just be able to patch it once they got up there and realized that that would probably be insufficient. The concern became, what if we invest all of this time and money into the brand new building, and then as soon as we get in, the roof continues to leak? And that's really what we're trying to avoid. While we have everyone here, we want to do the roof the way it needs to be done.
There's a big hunk of it missing.
Correct.
It's probably about 25% of it. It just doesn't exist anymore, so.
Right, and that, Dan, we did figure that into our cost.
Okay.
Because we knew that we were moving a portion of that, the addition was going to be essentially overlapping. So we did have some repair and replacement and so on in our
Perfect.
Base cost.
That's great. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about the funding side then, Chris.
Yeah.
David, if you want to bring up that spreadsheet I have that has the funding status. Not all that much has changed since the last time I was in front of you guys in May. The capital campaign is not really in an active place. We exceeded our original goal. We've received a few $1,000s more since we last met. When we met in May, the plan was for any additional capital campaign gifts that came in to offset or reduce the portion of the project that was to be paid back through the local option tax. We've also earned a little bit of interest, and same thing, that is going to reduce the amount to be paid back over the 20-year life of the bond through the local option tax. I'm looking at this and realizing that the comma for the local option tax figure is off, but you can kind of do the mental math in your head there and put the commas where they should be.
I was hopeful.
I am so sorry to disappoint. So the great news is that we're out of the ground, as Chris said, and most of the risk in the project is behind us. Having said that, it's not all gone. We're like 30% of the way through construction, so we still have potential surprises ahead of us. And with $130,000 of owner contingency remaining, I wanted to float the idea of potentially doing some more fundraising directed specifically towards the roof, such that additional gifts coming in, I don't think there's a ton of money out there left for this project, but I think there's some. And so I'd like the select board to consider directing future gifts and potentially future grants towards that roof portion, and kind of bulking up the project contingency, as it were.
There's a naming opportunity. Somebody can name the roof for themselves.
Yeah.
Dan roof.
It's a good-looking roof.
Dan Brown.
Dan Brown's roof. Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
We should have brown roof.
Yeah, of course. I get this all the time, people. It's okay. Dana, what about the library grant?
Okay, so if you scroll down to the next page,
I'm sorry.
No, that's
She paid me to do this.
no, that's good. Last time we met, we had 4 upcoming grant opportunities. Unfortunately, we did not get the congressionally directed spending request we submitted for the Save America's Treasures programs. That was disappointing. We have an application out right now for the Walter Surf Grant. We should find out in the next few weeks. That's $25,000. We applied specifically for the roof portion of it. This month, I will be back here in front of you in September with the Vermont Division for Historic Preservation grant. That would also be for $25,000. We would find out about that in December. And there is the remaining Department of Libraries capital grant. They have not announced when it will roll out, other than to say this calendar year. So by January, I expect the portal will open. They have given us an update and said that the amount will be between 100 and 400,000, and it will be for existing structures, not new construction. So we will be able to apply for it, but for the portion of work being done on the 1924 building.
There's 400,000 in there.
Yeah.
There's plenty there.
Yeah. So we will apply for that as soon as it opens.
Do they have the money? This is federal money, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. The previous round was ARPA funding, and this round is from a previously congressionally from a Senator Leahy CDS funding from several years ago. They do have the money.
Great.
What's the total pool?
10 million.
Yes, is there any concern about the federal rebates, or are they locked in?
I'll let Chris speak to the details of that. We can't apply for those funds until the project is completed. As of now, they are available, and we plan to apply for them. It is possible that something might happen in the future.
Yeah, that's an accurate statement that Dana just made.
Good question.
Thank you.
I just ask, on that sheet that you have the project funding status of the one prior to that, yeah. Could you tell me what you're trying to show with the project funding, the total budget of the project that the bond vote in May of 27, May of 2024 was 16,995.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, but, the first column, which doesn't have a total, doesn't add up to that, it adds up to 55,000 more than that. And the May 2025 column adds up to 17,085,000. I don't understand what
Oh.
you're trying to show in the May column of 2025, other than you're getting more interest. And the federal rebates you're coming up. The project budget is still 16,995 as on Chris's table.
Yep, project budget has not changed. If there's a mistake in the numbers, that's my fault then. But are you saying what I'm showing between May and August?
Well, I
What we're trying to
think
show
the
there?
bottom line is, commend you for all your efforts. You deserve to win some grants. 0 for $2 million is, particularly with the quality of the grant applications you're writing, is very unfortunate. But it basically, we're filling the shortfall of the $2 million between the increased interest, a little increase in the federal rebates, and the rest is going to come from the local option money.
Yeah, the plan has not changed substantively at all.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to clarify.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, well, thanks for the update, really
Dana.
appreciate that.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, hope you
Thank
feel
you all.
better.
Good night.
So I'm going to insert, I said 7:30, it's 7:40, I apologize, but who's the spokesperson? I'd like to have,
Can we start it? Yeah.
I just would invite the spokesperson to come forward so that, there are a lot more people here this evening than I have interest in hearing from, because I'm sure it's all the same. So here's our process. The board is going to talk first and see where the board stands, so that we know where the board stands first. And then I'd like you to have an opportunity to speak as the spokesperson for this group. And if somebody has something that's substantively different, we don't need to hear 50 people say the same thing. The fact that you're here, present, speaks that. So if you have something different, if we get to that, well, let's see where the board stands first. So I'm going to open the topic of a resolution on due process. I gotta find the resolution.
Be the first attachment, 3H.
Okay. Found it. Okay. And so I would open it for the board's discussion here first.
I'm in support of it.
You what?
I'm in support of it. You just wanted a quick, what do you feel about
I
it?
think Andy's got some comments, I've got some comments, but it'd be great to have a feeling where we all stand.
So he made his comments, so let's make our comments.
Yeah, I expect pretty much everyone here has seen my comments on this. I agree with the sentiment. I understand the desire to magnify your voice as much as you can, but it is not my understanding of what a town does that we speak for all the residents on matters outside of our expertise and jurisdiction. I think that is an overreach. I think if that's the desire, that we should have a plebiscite. We should have everyone vote on whether or not this is how the town feels. I do not feel okay substituting my judgment on an issue which is not part of my oath to the state constitution. Has nothing to do with road safety. Has nothing to do with the right spending of your tax dollars. It is beyond what I signed up for, and I feel uncomfortable doing it. And as I mentioned in my email and Front Porch Forum post, I think that it hardens the partisan divide in an area of public engagement where we still have trust and where we have not yet backed all the way into our corners with enmity towards others, where we have to work together and we so far have done so effectively.
Yeah, so I already made my position clear before that I will support, if it comes to in front of us, I will support it. Okay. I do disagree with you that it's not our place, but I respectfully, I understand where you're coming from. But what I don't agree with you is when you bring in a conversation about 1 in 5 people that shop at Shaw, the Hannafords, voted for Trump. So are we going to please that 1 in 5, or are we displeasing 4 out of 5?
Farhad, there are many towns in this state, particularly Northeast Kingdom, and in this country, where that ratio is the opposite, and where the people could bring a resolution saying, we support the actions of ICE in our town, right? And I would not want the 20% who disagree in those towns to feel that same weight of local government.
It's not the same because this is not political to me. This is very much a infringing on constitutional rights of these people, where they are coming and kidnapping people.
Excuse me.
We're having a discussion. We're having a discussion here.
People can't hear.
Mics,
The-
we need mics, we need mics.
There is no mic in here. This is only for Zoom.
From DPW was speaking loudly enough that we heard him, and if everybody could use that kind of a voice, it would be
So
really helpful.
I think it's not political in my opinion when somebody does something unconstitutional, whether it's Trump or Biden or Obama. If something is happening like this, I should speak up, and I'm doing that. I don't think there is a gray line in that. It's very black and white for me, because I cannot say that 1 in 4 people has supported him and we don't want to alienate that. Are we going to alienate 4 out of 5 who shops at Shaw's? I don't think that's fair to compare it like that. So for that reason, I am supporting it.
Andy, however many people voted for Trump, I don't think they voted for a violation of due process. He didn't campaign on that.
He absolutely did.
On violation of due process.
No.
Trump campaigned on that?
No.
I think he was very clear about what he intended to do in office. I think a lot of people did not expect he would be able to do what he did when he got into office, and I think he's been incredibly effective at carrying out most of Project 2025. It was in there. It was written down.
He didn't know what it was. That he was going to steal people off the streets? Yeah. No.
He called for removing millions of immigrants from our country, clearly and repeatedly.
There's more to talk. There's more to talk about in the select board, and I'd like to hear my select board members speak. Andy, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. I agree with Andy, and I'm uncomfortable. I said that the last time we did this. There's other ways that town folk could get this signed and approved, but I don't know. But my feeling is that there might be enough votes in the select board to pass this, and if there is, that pretty much says that we sign it. And I have some specific issues on the way this resolution is written, seeing that it wasn't vetted by any of us or the town. It just came before us. I would not sign this the way it's written, even if we pass it. It's just there's a couple of things in here that go against my what I feel that I'm signing up for. But if we're not going to pass this thing, if we're not going to pass this, then my points are moot.
Can you tell us the specific parts that you feel uncomfortable with? Because I'd love to hear.
Yes. So I'm specifically the comments about complicity, that I'm signing my name that I'm saying all the public officials all over the government, all over the state, all the other select board members that do their due diligence to run their communities and everything, that I'm calling them out for being complicit in this. I don't think I have the right or the responsibility, nor do I want anybody to call me out for that, particularly another select board member. So I'm vehemently against saying that they're complicit. So the other problem I have with it is the last sentence. I'm not sure what this last sentence is doing, to tell the town manager, the chief of police, and the town attorney to review all relevant town policies, practices, and protocols. Number one, we typically don't dump on our town manager and his staff to call them out to be able to do an onerous task like this. I don't even know how they would do it. I don't know what they would do. It's so non-specific. And I would have faith in the fact that for the time that we've been here and over the years that this select board has met, that we've already have these protections built into they're already there. And it's a ridiculous thing to call us out and review all this stuff when I'm comfortable where we're at. So I have a little bit of problem with, be it further resolved that the Middlebury Select Board pledges to oppose any policy. I'm willing, but I'm not sure if it's a pledge. So I can't sign this with those concerns.
So you want an amended version of this?
Yes. If I've stated my position that I would not like to do this. I think there's other ways, and Andy's expressed that. But if we're gonna sign one of these, for me to sign it, I mean, when we pass something like this, it's in our guidance is that, if we pass something that we're consensus that we've supported it. So it would kind of equate to the fact that if we pass it, that there's going to be 7 signatures in there. But I tell you what, I don't want to put my signature on this. I don't think this is the way we should be carrying this forward. I mean, they can I hate to bring this up, but they can get the signatures out and get it on the ballot, and everybody can get their signature on it by voting. The only thing, when this thing is signed, it's the 7 of us going forward. We're the seven that's committed to it. There's the power around there. They can vote for that, and they can all have that. So that would be another way of doing these things. But
Isabel.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Dan, I think you bring up really good points that I completely agree with. I am very for signing a resolution to protect due process, but I also would say yes if we were to amend, just because I'm worried about our legal ability to uphold those processes that you mentioned, and also, like you said, putting it on the town manager's plate to do a review, when I really do think that we have a wonderful staff, that we have a lot of checks and balances in place that I've seen work and protect people of all lived experiences. So I would vote yes for this resolution, but would prefer to amend it with what Dan is talking about.
So maybe because I don't want to offend anybody in this room, I make this from personal experience, this comment, because I'm a person of color, and I have been stopped by immigration in Plattsburgh, and I have told them that I'm a U.S. citizen. I was harassed. I have been stopped in Burlington by Border Patrol, and they racially profiled me. Maybe that's why I feel a little bit different about this, because it's very painful when you go through this. It's not something that we can take it easily. That is, hey, it's not our job. We should go out of our way to make it our job. This is what I'm saying. It's a very personal thing to me, because I've been through this a lot, and I've seen many people who's gone through this a lot, my friends. and it's very painful.
Yeah, I feel very torn. I'm just gonna put that out there. I absolutely hear you, Farhad, and I feel like we should do everything we can to make our society one where you and other people of color don't experience that. But I also really feel like as a select person, this isn't my role in this moment. And I really understand where Andy's coming from. So I feel really torn. I'm really not sure how to make this decision. I don't know what else to say.
I'd like to add one thing here. This spring, I reached out to our chief of police as well as to the state's attorney general, and I said, is there a way that we can make sure that even if there's a gag order, we know if our local police are asked to work with ICE or other federal agencies in doing things which this town does not want our police to be engaged in. And I got strong assurances from both of them. We did not need to take extra steps, that the laws about fair and impartial policing, which had been put in place in the state level, did indeed assure that that would not be the case and that they could not be impressed into federal service. And I was very relieved by that. I think we do have a role as a town, but I do not think it is making a statement which I feel is actually divisive rather than unifying.
Yeah, and I wanted to circle back to that. That's what I wanted to say, that I hear you, and I also don't think this should be political, right? Like, due process should not be a political issue. It is, but it is. And it is divisive. What I mean is it shouldn't be divisive, but it is divisive in the climate that we are in now. And I think there is something to be said for our small town government functioning where we are able to be in some ways not divisive, in a place where people feel, anybody feels they can come in. And I just worry that this is going to make us more political. And I don't know if that is a strength for the town.
Due process belongs to all of us, so it affects all of us, Republican, Democrat, whoever.
Agreed.
You know, we're talking about everybody here.
Ryan, do you have
And I'm thinking they want their rights protected as well.
It's in a Word document, because I'd like to, I'm gonna revise it quickly here.
Okay, so we, our choices are, we move and vote on this, or we revise it?
Can some of us talk?
In a minute, we're still debating.
I agree with you that if I were to vote for it, I would want to change. I agree with you that we should be able to amend the language, and I agree with your, yes.
I'll be happy to work with an amended version. If we have.
Why don't we allow a few of the citizens to comment, and I'm gonna work on an amendment while we're hearing you out.
Change it in a way that you feel comfortable with.
I learned that from your dad.
All right.
Spokesperson say anything?
Well, you know how I feel because I've spoken twice, so it's short, and then I'd like to give some other people a chance. As we all know, we're living in a time when the federal government is pushing the limits of what we as Americans and Vermonters will accept, and we must not take the safe route of acquiescence. This resolution supports the protection of all, no matter their party or citizenship status. I know of people in surrounding towns and in Middlebury, people who are naturalized citizens who are fearful, people who have dual citizenship who are fearful. In the words of retired judge from Ohio, Reginald Rouston, speaking out to protect due process and the rule of law is not a partisan endeavor. and doing so does not run afoul of any ethical limitations. And having said that, I'm not opposed to making some revisions that will make it more acceptable. But I would like to give other people a chance. Peter, would you like to speak, since you've come the farthest, I think, people here. So.
And please state your name for the record.
Honorable Selectman, my name is Peter Franzoni. I'm a Rutland City resident. As I'm not a constituent, I humbly thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Where are you from, Peter?
Rutland City.
Okay.
Please speak up.
Peter Franzoni from Rutland City.
Okay.
To your point, Selectman Hooper, about you don't think it's your place to pass a resolution where you're speaking for the entire town. Respectfully, that misses the point. You're not speaking for the town. You're speaking to the town. This resolution is to let your constituents know where their elected officials stand. Vermonters have a right to know that their elected officials are going to stick up for them if their constitutional protections are being infringed. So this isn't a resolution for you to say, this is what the whole town believes. This is a resolution for you to say, as the elected members sitting on the board, we support these beliefs and our strengths and our Constitution. We see what's going on at a federal level. We see what's going on with these violations to the Constitution. We acknowledge them when we don't approve. Simple as that. And it's a paper tiger. It doesn't compel anybody to do anything. It's just an affirmation. Selectman Brown, to your point about passing this resolution, and if we pass it, then we're implying that everyone who doesn't pass it is not in support of the Constitution. We're calling other people out. I may be mistaken on this, but it's my knowledge that town of Middlebury passed a Declaration of Inclusion a few years ago. By that logic, would all of the towns in the state that didn't pass the Declaration of Inclusion be called racists? It's kind of a moot point. You know, if you have
the language of this says the silence of public officials at all levels of government in the face of such abuses amounts to complicity. That feels like a call out to everyone who does not endorse and bring this forward.
And I think exactly that it is.
I think that was Dan's point, is that another town could say a similar thing.
And another town has the opportunity to pass the resolution and to speak up and say that they don't approve these things. And as a town, as in a community, that they aren't going to support these actions that violate their constitutional rights. It's kind of like the public laws that were passed during the Civil War. So just before the Civil War broke out, the federal government was unable to stop the southern states from deputizing posses and sending them into the northern states to capture escaped slaves or just black people in general. Vermont was the first state to pass the public laws. And what that happened was they went community by community, passing laws that said, even though the federal government isn't going to step up and do it, we are. We're not going to allow this in our homes and our communities. So a few towns passing a resolution doesn't say much. If you all pass it, we'll be at 20. There are 19 municipalities that have joined us so far. 19 of your fellow Vermont municipalities have felt it strongly enough that this needs to be spoken about.
How many more to go?
I would keep going. I would.
Via select boards? Is that how
Pardon me?
the other municipalities that you're referring to?
By city council and
Is
select
it
boards,
by
yes.
select-
And most of them passed unanimously.
Okay, let's see, especially since you're not a citizen here, let's see, or a Middlebury, resident of Middlebury.
Good evening, thank you. I had a question, because it's been brought up by more than one select board member.
Your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, my name's Ross Conrad. I'm a Middlebury resident. It's been brought up that some select board members don't feel it's your jurisdiction to address this. Well, I look at the Vermont Constitution, and it says very clearly, Article 4, every person within the state ought to find a certain remedy by having recourse to the laws for all injuries or wrongs which one may receive in person, property, or character. Every person ought to obtain right and justice freely and without being obliged to purchase it, completely and without any denial, promptly and without delay, conformably to the laws. And then I noticed to be here on the select board, you all have to take oaths of office. The two oaths that you take, one is the Vermont Oath of Allegiance for local officials. It states, I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont, and I will not directly or indirectly do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution or government thereof. The second oath you take is the oath for office for local officials. I will faithfully execute this office of Select Board for the town of Middlebury in the state of Vermont, and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons to the best of my ability and a judgment according to law.
So we've already agreed. We've already agreed to that. We've already agreed.
Right. So the Constitution says everybody should get due process and be treated right according to law.
We agree.
You take an oath of office, and yet you're saying that approving this resolution that simply states that we need to follow the laws, somehow you say that's beyond your jurisdiction. And I need to hear from you, how is that? Because I am not understanding it at all.
I just think what you read supported us.
In what way? Please tell me, because I'm not getting...
We've taken that oath, and that's the way we conduct our business.
Yep, to uphold the laws. And so this simply says to ask you to affirm publicly that you will do what you are supposed to be doing.
I've already taken an oath.
Yeah.
So what?
So this is a little extra.
Do I have
so
to?
This should be. That's why I don't understand why it's
vows?
so controversial. To me, this is just saying, yes, I'm going to do what's expected by the Constitution and my oath of office, and the majority of people in town, apparently. And so, but yet somehow, there's this thing where you say it's not your jurisdiction, you don't want to do it. And so I want to hear from you why. I'm not getting it. Please explain it to me.
Our own president violated his oath of office. What's to make your public believe that you're not going?
So how often do I have to affirm it? Would you like me to do it every time I come in?
I'd like to do it in this instance when our due process and our constitutional rights are being infringed upon. Sir.
Give us a chance. We have not said we're not.
This is not normal situation. You can't just say, oh, how often do I have to affirm it? I'm John Barstow. I'm a resident of Middlebury. This is a moment when you need to affirm it because it's being threatened, it's being denied to people, people are being taken off the streets.
We all agree with that.
So affirm it publicly and say, we believe this, and we call it out. So and I think we're open to amendments, by the way, I am.
Yeah.
It's not signing it.
I'm going to have Dave put an amendment up for the board to look at, but thanks, Ross. Please.
Thank you.
Teresa Gleason.
Please come forward to the mic.
Yes. It's short. Teresa Gleason. What Ross was just saying and what we're just talking about.
State your name, please.
Teresa Gleason. Yes. Is leadership. You were elected to leadership. And in the times that we live in with a federal regime that does not respect the rule of law and due process, we need local leadership. This is what leadership is to say, not to say, well, maybe this isn't my role, but to think about that more deeply and say, oh, I was elected to leadership. I need to take the lead and figure out what these times call for. And I want everybody of every color to be protected in my community. I don't want anybody, I don't want Farad, I don't want Mohsen Madawi, I don't want my neighbors working on the farms to be subject to disappearing. And that's, we're calling for leadership from our select board.
Recording in progress.
Thank you.
Well, there's a moment, I would just...
Are you trying to put that?
Yeah, so what we'll do is if you want to make some edits.
Please get something.
Okay.
Maybe you could print it off.
Certainly we can do that too, if you want to. We were going to put it up on the screen if you wanted to show people what you're going to.
May I make a comment? Elizabeth Ottinger, Middlebury. If the resolution were to say, we want to affirm in accordance with our oath of office, with the laws of Middlebury, the laws of the state and the Constitution, we want to affirm, etc., without.
This is what's coming.
It's coming.
I just made the changes and
This is someone who's
So,
trying to be recognized officially.
you know who I am. Judy.
The audience may not.
Judy Waiver, East Middlebury. So I need to read a quote that was produced back in the 1940s by a Lutheran minister. I'm hoping you've heard it before.
Louder.
Judy, you were caught.
I'm going to stand over here to better project. Okay, so here's the deal. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Who'd they come for next?
Trade unions.
Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. Guess what? There was nobody left to speak for me. So, as you're deciding whether or not you can reaffirm your position on this, all we're saying is, could you say you support due process? Could you say you actually support what the Constitution of the state of Vermont asks you to do? Reaffirm. And then keep this in mind. If this does not pass, I invite all of you on an all-expense-paid trip to Poland. We will visit Warsaw, and we will visit Krakow, where Auschwitz is. I have enough money in the bank to do that.
Can you enlarge that?
so if the board could take a look at that. Isabel, can you see that on your screen?
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you, Brian.
It's just up there. I don't think we have access to it on our.
No.
If you can read it.
We have to
right
read
there.
it there.
You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, read it out loud.
Yeah. So a resolution condemning attacks on due process and affirming the constitutional rights of all people in the town of Middlebury. Whereas the United States Constitution guarantees due process, equal protection, and fundamental rights to all persons regardless of citizenship status, immigration status, race, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, or political belief. And whereas recent actions by federal authorities, including detention of legal residents in Vermont without clear justification of or timely access to legal counsel, represent a dangerous escalation of government overreach and a violation of these constitutional protections. And whereas history has shown that violations of the rights of one group leads to abuses against other groups, first against immigrants, then against dissenters, and eventually against anyone who does not conform to the views of those in power, be it resolved that the members of the Select Board of the town of Middlebury unequivocally condemn all violations of due process and the abusive exercise of government power targeting groups of individuals based on race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, social class, ethnicity, or citizenship status. Be it further resolved that the town of Middlebury affirms its unwavering commitment to supporting and protecting the rights of all people in our town, regardless of citizenship status, national origin, political belief, or any other identity. And that could probably be truncated a little bit more.
If this is gonna pass, yeah, I'm good with this.
I'd support that.
Yeah, I mean, I will not withhold my signature from that if the select board approves it.
So, I get what everybody's looking for. I'm disappointed that you don't choose the path of our elected state officials. The select board, we are the base of democracy in the town of Middlebury, but we have zero control over a lot of this stuff that's going on. And I have really pushed back on trying to spend our time on I guess I can't say that this isn't productive, but things that don't deliver services and progress into the town of Middlebury. And so I've tried to not spend we're going to have spent the better part of an hour on this again. And to what end other than declaring what we all believe in and
protecting your neighbors.
I get it. We're protecting our neighbors. We do it all the time. I probably do more than most of you when it comes to going to the state and actually advocating for these. I have farmers that I work with that were some of the first that had people taking by ice. And I was active in being vocal to the state about the need to support that. And yet, it's easy to come in here. It's not as easy to go where you can probably make a bigger difference. And so I've said that in prior times that I wish everybody would take this energy and project it where the maybe it could make a bigger difference. That said, I firmly believe in due process, and I have no problem signing this resolution the way I've amended it. I did not like the initial draft. Once I looked at it, I was busy this weekend. I read it this morning, and I said, "Ooh, we got a little issue here," because it was calling us to call out, and it was and be like the watchdog. We're the protector of the town of Middlebury. We don't project outside of Middlebury, and that's what that letter did for me. And I'm fine with saying in the town of Middlebury, this is what we do. Otherwise, I'm a citizen just like you outside of the town of Middlebury, and I take action to the best that I can to try to help those that need help. So that's where I stand.
You have no legal authority outside this town. That's completely concurred. But as I wrote to you, Mr. Hooper, this afternoon, this carries a force of its own, and if ICE is trying to decide, oh, here's all these dairy workers in Vermont, let's get rid of them. Something like this might say, we don't want to tangle with Vermont. That's why it's different from other moral authority resolutions, because this isn't virtue signaling. This has real consequences.
And Brian,
in my opinion.
I want to say something in support of Brian. I can't speak for everybody on this board, but I can speak for me. My positions and everything, I agree with what you're talking about. I agree. I spent most of my life in uniform, as did Brian did. So I've been on the front line, and I agree. I was talking with Andy. I understand the realm that we sit in, and what work we have to do. I am glad you all had the opportunity to come here and sit and see some of the business we do, because that's the business we do. That's your dollars. We talked about $16 million worth of stuff. I can almost bet there's several people in here that have never been to a select board meeting. We sit in here week after week by ourselves doing our business. I can guarantee you that I have spent more hours on this than you have spent on this, and we have a thumbs down. But I didn't sleep last night. I know you. I know what you feel. I know what you say, and I know what that.
Yeah. I don't think you can say that.
It's okay, it's all right.
So what? My point. I take it back. You're probably right. I can't say it. I just can know that I put a lot of time and energy in this. My point is that some of the comments started getting a little personal here. These all my colleagues here work really, really hard. We come prepared. We have great preparations to do this. We work really hard. I'm glad to see you here. I like to see you here. I'd love to see you here more frequently. I'd love to see you come as much as Judy and Ross do.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Just show up every 2 weeks.
Can I?
So I appreciate it, and I'm supportive of this.
So I want to say something real quick. To respond to you, they all love me, by the way. They are my best friends, so no worries there. To Brian's point about spending a lot of time on these things, the only reason I want to talk about this because these are extraordinary times. This is something very exceptional that happened. That's why I don't mind spending time, because this is an important thing that we have to talk about. It doesn't mean that we want to bring up every single resolution that comes in, but this is important enough for me, so and that's the reason I want to support it.
I would like to thank everyone for coming. I would like to thank everyone on the select board for your hard work.
Yeah.
And I would like, thank you. And I would like to ask if there is a motion on the floor or if the board would like to take any action on the proposed amended resolution.
Motion?
Say your name.
So I
Right,
move
Joe
to-
McVeigh, beg your pardon, Middlebury.
I make a motion to make this resolution or
Adopt.
adopt it.
As amended.
Second? Or no?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We're at voting on the resolution here, if it's okay with you. Okay. Are there any comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution to, the motion to support the amended resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I didn't hear any nays? Okay.
There was an abstention.
Okay, an abstention. So, we're going to sign this and appreciate your activism. It is a significant issue. Who can not say that? But we're not going to talk about it anymore. I just want to try to close. You have to be proud being a Vermonter, though. Watch, our governor has already turned down 2 requests, so you got a good man there, right?
Yes.
This is the most number of people I've seen.
Now spend some more time.
I agree with that.
Oh,
yeah, I was doing that, but I can't, so.
And then for this, I kick your ass. I'll ride the car. I ride the car. I'd hope not read this. You'll start speaking with a Russian accent.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Send
my 22-year-old.
This is an annual action.
Okay, I would like to call order back in the room here so we can move on.
3 paragraphs. At the very whereas. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I made sure to check it.
I couldn't imagine.
That would be, I'll admit we live in very unusual times.
For sure we do. For sure we do. I could. Thanks for hearing me. Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
And after showing.
Hey, neighbor.
Thank you, neighbor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You should sit here with us. It's usually not this hard.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Cheers.
Let's try that some high notes. Pull over
Okay, we're going to move on to setting the municipal tax rates for FY 2026.
Oh, they should have stuck around for this one.
Yeah, setting to me.
This is the one that impacts them the most, right here.
Want me to
only the pockets.
Want me to take the lead on this, David, or
Mark's got a little bit, yeah, sure.
Mark, you want to take the lead on?
Yeah, just real quickly. Unfortunately, we found out after the meeting started that Nick wasn't able to join us, so we're not fully prepared tonight. But
I think we are.
I think we can move forward with it regardless. It's an annual process, as you know, that takes place in August. There's a comprehensive summary in your packet for this evening. And in the agenda notes, what's presented here reflects the general fund budget and the grand list. There's no change being proposed to the DIDC or the DID tax rate this year. So I'll stop there, but we're looking for you to approve what's presented in your packet for this evening.
This follows on the budget that we had approved, and we were waiting, the final grand lists, and it's a math exercise. So, if everybody got it, does any questions on it? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I would move that the select board set the total municipal tax rate for FY '26 at 88.94 cents per $100 of property value.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion?
I think it's great that we got in under what was estimated at town meeting. A little bit less.
Thanks to a little bit of luck with the grand lists. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? What if I just want to be opposed to taxes?
Sure. Do we need to pass the tax rate for the DID, Mark?
We just did.
That was all part of that.
It was in that?
Well, yeah, we should.
It's a different rate. I mean,
we should make a separate one if you could, Fred.
Hang on a second.
It's this 0.0513.
I got it. I move to approve the DID calculated tax rate of 0.0513.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions on that?
Dan, that was for fiscal year 26?
For FY 20, yes, that's
very good.
Isn't it assumed?
That was in the motion.
You should have mentioned that.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thumbs up. Okay. And then homestead late filing fees. Finance Department is presenting to the Select Board the list of homestead late filing penalty fees. Historically, it's presented annually with this agenda item to waive this cumulative fee of $27,566.45 for 2024 when we're approving the tax rates. In past years, Select Board has opted to waive these cumulative late fees. Pleasure of the board.
I don't remember doing this before.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Have you remember doing this before?
No.
Okay, I just thought it was me.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, sure.
Well, if we're not comfortable with that, we could postpone that portion of it. We need to get our tax bills out.
Yep, it's a bit.
But we could postpone that portion of it.
Is there? My understanding is this is a bit time sensitive. David's reaching out to Nick right now.
Okay. Well, he's reaching out to Nick on this. We're gonna bring the Energy Committee forward and we'll circle back.
All right.
You might be interrupted with breaking news or something.
I
so.
really thought everybody was here for my report.
Everybody of us are here.
Indeed.
Evening, Michael.
Hello, nice to see you all. I have a handout.
Oh, nice.
I like to make a list.
Gonna one up your peer committee chairs.
Yeah. I guess I should start to say thank you for putting this in place. I think it's great to have a chance to kind of not talk in a kind of conflict mode, like, oh, let's fight about this or fight about that, like just what we're up to. As I've said to anybody that'll listen, the Energy Committee will be successful when we can cease to exist, because everybody has kind of figured out, like, oh, climate touches every single aspect of the town, and we need to be thinking about climate and energy, and we don't need a committee that's like playing watchdog and annoying you with all of this. But we're not quite there yet. So what I thought I'd do is just go over a list of projects that we have in progress, and kind of ask for feedback, like, are these the right things? Is there anything on the list that you look at and you're like, I have no idea why they're doing that? Or vice versa, are there things that you're like, why isn't the Energy Committee doing this? So this is what we are doing. So if there are things you think we should be doing that aren't on the list, this would be a great moment to give us some advice. So the first thing we're doing, working with Emily Charrington on all the town vehicles and kind of deciding when are they up for replacement? Are they replaceable with an EV? What would be the difference in terms of total cost of ownership for going to an EV? And just trying to work out a kind of multi-year plan. And again, doing that work early on so that as part of the budget process, we're doing that due diligence. And we're looking really hard at kind of procurement processes and trying to figure out, like, why, how could Middlebury enjoy the research that happens all over the country, because we are not the only municipality that buys snowplows and police cars, and trying to figure out, as this market changes, how do we stay on top of what's happening there. So that's the first piece. We've talked to the infrastructure committee about it, and it would seem to be well received. The kind of parallel project is doing a building inventory and kind of looking like, what are all the buildings the town owns, how are they heated and cooled, what kind of industrial processes take place that use lots of energy, and then again thinking about replacement schedules. When is the boiler likely to need replacing? When is the water heater likely to need replacing? Is there a good electric version so we can stop burning fossil fuels? So again, getting ahead of that and doing that so that by early fall we can start to plan and budget around those kinds of upgrades and kind of linking it up to the annual budget process. The wastewater treatment plant is really, really complicated, as you know. As I always say to Fred, like, what's really interesting with these is like, okay, we can't talk to you, it's too early. We can't talk to you, it's too early. Is it now? Sorry, it's too late.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to find, like, when is that moment? It's an avocado problem, exactly. And so we've got ideas for solar, could we self-fund solar? Because, like, if the plant uses so much electricity, is there a way to just put in solar panels, borrow money, and then pay them off with the electric savings that we get from running solar there? We're really interested in thermal energy networks, and the wastewater treatment plant is a source for a thermal energy network. And is that a revenue source that could actually lower rates, because you could make money by selling the heat that we're literally flushing down the toilet, and then just
into the river.
Into the river, yeah. So anyway, I'm working really closely with Emily on all of this and trying to kind of sync up with Efficiency Vermont and Green Mountain Power. Oddly enough, Vermont Gas is really interested in thermal energy networks. I don't fully trust them, but they're willing to help us. I'm willing to listen. Kind of the fourth project we're working with Planning Commission on kind of the revision to the town plan and how to weave climate and energy throughout that plan. So thinking about the intersection of climate and energy with housing and transportation and land use, and trying to just sort out how to build in throughout the plan, how we also think about what's going to happen due to climate change, both in terms of adaptation and resilience that we need to be considering. The fifth one you've already signed off on. We got a grant that the ACRPC is leading to do an enhanced energy plan for the town. It potentially gives us the right to sort of have a say in where solar gets put, but there's lots of other benefits that come from that. So we're kind of going along for the ride, and hopefully that would actually be part of a larger town plan.
It'd be really nice to have that, because we have a solar plan in front of us, a solar request in front of us now on,
Yeah.
and even your neighboring land. I mean, we've been through this numerous times, and it's like, well, it'd be really nice if we could drive people to where we want them right from the start.
Right, and speed up the process, because it's also for solar, for everybody, for solar developers, they're like, I don't want to do business here because it's going to take 2 years for them to make a decision.
Yeah.
This one is a kind of skunkworks project, this energy codes compliance. So Jamie Hand, it turns out, is a building science engineer, really interested in how new buildings in Middlebury, if they comply with energy codes. And so he's starting to do some work to look into looking at the cards that builders submit and seeing how well we comply, and then how do we give feedback to those builders if they're not complying to help them understand and build to the energy codes that the state has set.
I've been emphasizing that should be on a constructive attitude towards helping builders rather than pillorying them.
Right.
When we discover something might not have been filled out or missed.
And also just trying to get ahead in the process. So like before somebody even applies for a building permit, how to make sure that the plans for the building actually are going to be compliant with the energy codes. Because once you're down a certain path, it's kind of hard to say, oh, I really should have put in all of that insulation that I don't have the money for anymore. The seventh one is the Energy Navigator program. So as you know, the town has been really helpful in helping SEAC raise money for doing this program. So we've been able to tap into some municipal only funds, grant funds targeted for this sort of thing. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations and talk about how SEAC and the town can work together to make this program work in Middlebury and then work in surrounding towns as well. We just got another $100,000 from V-Light, which is helpful to keep us going. And we're talking with various other parties to sort of figure out what a sustainability model for that might look like. And then the last one is the greenhouse gas inventory. So we're going to move that up. So normally we show up in January when you're like buried with the budget and don't really want to look at this. And we're going to try and do it in September or October and actually link it to the budget. So if the budget has stuff that's like, we're going to need to spend a little bit more money because we're not hitting our goals, rather than saying like, oh, you should do that a year from now, when you're not thinking about it, it's too early. We're trying to get there right on time so that you can understand like what are the choices that we have to make this fall in order to hit our goals in the coming years.
Sounds like a lot of avocado problems.
What's that?
A lot of avocado.
A lot of avocado. It's pretty much exactly right. And then the last thing is, if you are around from 12 to 3 on Sunday the 21st, Bill McKibben has organized this thing called Sunday, which is happening all over the country. There's probably 200 of them on the books now, and we're having one in Triangle Park. There will be bands, there will be food trucks, there will be face painting, story hour, trying to make it kid friendly. And then we'll have all of the kind of climate groups doing exhibits so that people that want to learn about how to get involved in climate, either like fixing their house or working locally, have a chance to learn about that. And we're working with the college as well. So we're hoping we'll get hundreds of climate activist college students milling around downtown, spending money on coffee and such.
What date you said?
It is the 21st from noon to 3.
September.
Right, it's at the bottom of your page. It's in bold, and you will be annoyed with all of the times you were told about it in the coming weeks, because we have a whole plan for letting people know about it.
I've added to my calendar.
That's great. So that's the list. If there's anything on the list that you're like, I have no idea why you're doing it, that would be good to know.
Maybe I missed it, but no, the Energy Navigator, what's been the response to the citizens to that?
We've had over 100 visits to town. So we've been in operation for about a year, and we've been in 100 homes and met with folks and worked up plans for them. And it's a kind of a process, so it takes time for people to like find the money and find the time and find contractors. But so far we've had, dozens and dozens of people who have bought heat pumps, put in heat pump water heaters, had energy audits. So it's doing what we was hoping it's going to do, and we're just trying to.
I had them come visit. So.
Oh, good, yeah.
I'm a little bit ahead of the curve, but it was helpful.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So so we're just, this is one where we're really trying to figure out, like, we're just making it up as we go along. There's plenty of people that have done this elsewhere, but we've never done it here. So we're just trying to kind of learn from when we go sideways and celebrate when we get it right.
Any idea or any sense what the tariffs and the changes to tax code and everything else, how far back that'll?
I don't think it's good. I don't.
No, I know it's not good.
I think it's good in the sense that like a lot of people who are like sitting on the fence are actually doing stuff now, because when you call up people that install heat pumps, they've got like a huge waiting list because everybody says, okay, I was on the fence, but if I don't do it by December, I'm not going to get the rebate. So it's in the short term making people take action.
But I'm going to be curious because that was part of the cost benefit analysis that tipped many people over the edge to invest in it, because it is an investment.
Right. I think what Bill McKibben's book, he has this new book about the victory of solar over fossil, and basically like solar has won. Like it is so far cheaper than any other form of fuel that 20, 30 years from now, like it's a no-brainer. Like this is where we're going to be, and so we could just sort of sit back and kind of wait for the troglodytes in Washington to leave and somebody else to come in, but we just don't have time. So we have to figure out how to keep this moving forward, even though we've got a bunch of headwinds right now. I think the market forces, just the cheapness of it, is going to ultimately cause it to win. But we don't have time to wait for all of that to happen.
Even before the tariffs on Chinese goods, where most solar panels are manufactured, the cost of installing a megawatt, kilowatt, whatever, in the U.S. was like 3 times the world average to permit, build, install. So we're not very good at it, even before tariffs are fully implemented and baked in the price.
Yeah. Apparently, like I was listening to, like most countries, you can go to the equivalent of Home Depot, like buy some solar panels. They will send somebody to your house and install it. It's like buying a fridge.
Right.
And here, the PUC and it's just, yeah. Anyway,
If
that's
you put
one
them
of
in
this.
behind the meter, then you don't have to do that.
Exactly. So hopefully none of this should seem terribly surprising, because I've been talking about this off and on for, as we've been doing it.
None of it's surprising. This all sounds really good. I did hear some concerns about, I'm not sure whom, but the Energy Committee being somewhat forceful in suggestions with the St. Stephen's energy renovations.
That would be me. I guess me and Alice are the 2 people from the Energy Committee that were there.
Yeah, and they gave a presentation that they had looked at alternatives and were using non-fossil sources where they could. And my sense was that this happened beyond that. That there was a further intervention by. Yeah. Anyway,
that was by St. Stephen's. So like they did this to themselves. So they had a little committee. Their Creation Care Committee was really unhappy with the choice to bring in natural gas. So they started they convinced the congregation, I don't know if they call themselves a congregation, to kind of pause and do some more analysis. And so so we came in and spoke as part of a presentation of this broader analysis that they had done, where George Martin, who's an engineer, kind of talked about the cost benefits of all the different options. And they ultimately are actually going to go with heat pumps with natural gas backup.
Okay.
Which is a fine outcome.
But that wasn't something that the Energy Committee ever talked about in a committee meeting.
No, I think I was just asked. I mean,
Okay, I try to keep up with what you're doing.
Yeah.
leader liaison.
All right, I heard the concern, you were here, I thought I'd
It's all
ask.
good. I don't think I was necessarily representing the town of Middlebury or the Energy Committee. I happened to be on the Energy Committee. I happen to know about this stuff. I think the question, I'm trying to remember, I think that one of the questions was like, do you think that if we were to do, I guess it was a question of geothermal, and there was a question about like, if they wanted to do
On our green?
geothermal on
Okay.
your green, what would the town say? And I said, from as far as I know, like I can't speak for the town because I'm not a member of the select board. This stuff is not invasive. It just goes down in the ground. It's a well, and you cap it. I would be very surprised if you're willing to let Vermont Gas put a pipeline through the green. You'd probably let them drill a well. But I said you should probably ask the select board.
It's pretty disruptive. You look at elderly services and.
For the short term, yeah. So yes, absolutely. But when it's over, it's a well. Like you cover it up and it doesn't. You don't notice it.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you. This is
I
great.
like having
Great.
it all on one list.
Yeah.
And one page. One
Yeah.
page is important.
Yeah.
All right. Keep up the good
Nice
work.
visual.
Keep fighting the good fight.
So back to,
Oh, yes, I do.
back to the Homestead Lake.
Actually, if we can go back one more step.
I found the last time that we discussed that, by the way. Hang on 1/2 a second. The select board minutes of June 13th, 2017, item 9. Carpenter said this is a request for the town treasurer, Jackie Sullivan, to eliminate the town's property tax late filing penalty. Sullivan cites the state's delay in processing 2016 tax returns and ongoing confusion around the state's processing for filing an annual homestead declaration, and the staff time required to investigate whether a taxpayer's filing was completed in a timely fashion, as reasons for her recommendation to eliminate the late filing penalty. Shashok moved to approve Treasurer Jackie Sullivan's proposal to eliminate the town's property tax late filing penalty. Khan seconded the motion. The motion carried 6 in favor, 1 absent. So it
So actually,
seems
it's
like
just
we
a
did this
regular,
in
routine.
perpetuity in 2017. So I think we can affirm that, but I don't know that we need to. This is the last time it was discussed, according to AI.
That's great, and that would explain
AI
why
is
you
always
haven't.
right.
It is not.
That would explain why you haven't seen it since.
Yes.
Going back one step, we need to ask you to amend your motion. It looks like there's a typo in the tax rate. The 88.94 is last year's tax rate. So the tax rate being proposed this year is 92.98.
92.98, yeah.
Yep.
So it wasn't a savings below the estimate?
No, sorry.
Just amend the motion.
No, it's been passed.
What's that?
We passed it, but we need to reopen it.
Okay.
And revote it, right.
What is it supposed to be?
92.98.
Isn't that what I?
It's not what's written down below, Fred, so when the
Okay.
motion was made, they read what was written, but it's a typo.
I would move that we correct our earlier motion regarding the tax rate and approve the rate of 0.9298. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
I think we have to rescind it because it was approved, but whatever.
I move that we
Fine.
rescind the prior motion and adopt the new corrected tax rate of 0.9298.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Good catch.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, I'm glad you caught that before we left.
Executive session?
No executive session. Board member concerns. Fred?
I think that I didn't bring these up in the consent agenda because there was too much other stuff happening around the consent agenda, which itself we might talk about a little bit. But a couple of things in that, in the town manager's report, the stormwater infrastructure projects and budget executive summary. Just speaking up for people in the infrastructure committee who I think they view stormwater as part of infrastructure. and the projects that are being talked about and the budget and the implication for that is something that I think they would be interested in hearing, and rather than have this bypass them and go to the select board, I would just encourage that. On application to the Public Utility Commission for T-Mobile and Springfield Road, I think you mean Springside Road. That affects the tower that, it's not the town's tower, you know, it's I think it's Verizon's tower, we license. And there are sub-licenses for people who want to attach to it. So if they're asking us to, okay, just attaching to someone else's tower, I was involved in this 30 years ago, and I don't know that that's changed.
We were just notified, so we included a copy of the notice in the consent agenda.
Okay.
Full package that we received is upstairs in the viewing area if anyone would
Okay.
like to.
And then, yeah, there's a general license to them and then sub-licenses, and there's fees. You know, and what they're proposing doesn't address some of that. I want to recognize and express appreciation to Brian for, I was very afraid about how this whole due process thing was going to turn out, and there was a whole lot of gymnastics around the consent agenda. And I did look up in what the proper and ideal use of the consent agenda is, and it's really for routine, non-controversial items. And it's intended to save time, but by minimizing repetitive discussions. And so we do that, but it really should not include items regarding deep debate or discussion or things that are contentious or raise significant issues. And so I hope that we don't try to load too much up in the interest of saving times that then gets us into awkwardness. And I think I appreciate the way this was pulled up. So thank you.
And I'll take the hit on that one. I was the one that convinced Brian to do that, and then I was the one that convinced Brian we should take it back out. So that was me.
I was going to take the fall for that.
Well, I know I can't let my boss do that.
So, and the final one, Mark, when you do correspondence, reporting on the correspondence, that there wasn't any this time. I'm amazed you didn't get any correspondence, but I would just say that instead of just having, there was a letter from Fred Schmertz about sewer, it would be good if we could actually just include the letter so we could see what
There
it
were
is.
a bunch with the due process. There were a whole bunch of them.
Of other letters?
No, all the correspondence for this meeting was included in the it was all due process related.
Okay.
And anything else that we received is also included in your package, the T-Mobile letter, things like that. There wasn't any other notable correspondence to include. So
okay, thank you.
This week.
Thank you.
Megan.
I'm good. No
You're good?
concerns this time.
Farhad?
I'm good, thank you.
Dan?
I'm not sure if I'm good, but I'm okay.
Isabel?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how I really appreciated our conversation going regarding the resolution. I think it really showed how accessible we are to access. Even though it might not feel like our place, I think a lot of people in our community see us as leaders and trust us as leaders. So I think it really went to show that we're accessible and everyone can feel free to speak their mind authentically in front of us. So I really appreciated that. And then welcome back to any students. School is starting tomorrow for our public schools, and our Middlebury College students will be moving back in soon.
Andy?
Huh. Yeah, interesting. I think that the reason that this petition came to the select board and not to the school board, for instance, is that we are expected to speak for the town when we sign this. This is supposed to be a statement about what this town stands for and believes. And I remain troubled being put in that place outside of the scope of our duties within our town boundaries to provide public services.
Amen. Some of us are just wimps.
I didn't say that, Dan.
I do appreciate that the group shows courage and deliberates respectfully, and I enjoy being a part of a group that can do that. So, thank you very much. I've got a really early morning, so if anybody wants to stay in town.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.